So here is another interesting topic we're going to talk about since, well, let's just get to it. Top 5 Spider-Man movies, and the catch here is there's only 5, so I gotta rank them from worst to best. A lot of people, I think, already know what the exact list is, because I think a lot of us have the exact same list, but, anyways, let's get into it. Number 5, this would be the worst one, which would be The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie, thematically, has a lot of problems. Flow-wise has a lot of problems. Character-wise, a lot of problems. Character development, a lot of problems. Characters acting way out of norm. Tons of problems there. There's just a whole lot of problems with this movie. They're not necessarily saying that this is the worst movie. There are a lot of parts to like about it. The costume is the best it's ever been. It looks just like Spider-Man from the comics. Andrew Garfield did great. Emma Stone did amazing as Gwen Stacy. Just everything in this movie just kind of got clumped together and got lost in the mix. They were trying to do too much while still early on in the game, trying to set up too much. It was pretty much the Iron Man 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They got way too excited about setting up a shared universe and crammed way too much together all in one. So unfortunately, for those reasons it suffered, and that's why it's number 5. Number 4. Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, well, not necessarily a terrible movie. There's actually a whole lot in this movie to like. The movie suffered a whole lot of problems, which I hope to cover in about a minute and a half. So, pardon me if I forget something. First off, I actually really like the dance scene. I think that scene makes a lot of sense in the context of the movie. What I mean by that is, Peter Parker gets infected by the symbiote, and he, in his mind, has to think of what's cool. But he is a nerd. To him, cool is dancing hipsters, because that's what he sees, so that's what he does. In that way, it works. Unfortunately, the movie does a terrible job in explaining this to you, and just kind of comes off as lame and stupid. Now, of course, there was a whole lot of politics that went on behind the scenes for this movie that were kind of, getting in the way, such as Sony forcing Venom to be in the movie when Sam Raimi didn't want him to be in there. Some of the actors kind of being iffy on this and that. Tony Maguire not wanting to work certain days, he wanted certain time off and things like that, so they had to kind of constrain to that and shoot a lot more, during certain hours, so the movie suffered from that too. Just a whole lot of bad stuff went on with this movie, and I think the worst part of it was the big retcon. I really didn't like how Sandman got retconned to be this, bigger villain than he ever would have been. I think Marco should just be a plain old thug, and I don't see what was wrong with that, and I think a lot of people agree with that. So is it the worst movie? Hell no, there's a lot to like about it. I just think after the Amazing Fall, movie they had that predated it, a whole lot went wrong. Number 3, The Amazing Spider-Man. I think The Amazing Spider-Man is a pretty decent movie. It has a lot going for it. I like the darker tone they took with it. They were going a little more vigilante Spider-Man. I really didn't like the suit, but that didn't stop me from enjoying what was on screen. I loved seeing the Lizard. The Lizard, I think, is one of the best Spider-Man villains, and I liked seeing that represented. Unfortunately, the Lizard was rushed. We didn't really get a whole lot of backstory at all with him, his kid, his wife. I think that would have made for a more emotional movie. And I think, the cast for the movie definitely came together. They all seemed to have, good chemistry and everything like that. They were definitely doing a good job of setting up the future, making sure they mentioned Norman Osborn, other genetics going on. So I definitely think that this movie has a lot to like in it. Unfortunately, the movie does suffer from few of the things that got in the way, such as it began shooting literally months after Spider-Man 3 got disbanded because they had to start shooting to hang on to those rights. And you can see that actually is reflected all throughout the movie by having some cheap visual effects here and there, by some rushed production, some rushed set design. But still, overall, I think it was a pretty decent movie. Number 2, Spider-Man 1. Argue whether, The Amazing Spider-Man is a better movie. To a lot of people it is, to a lot of people it's not. To me personally, Spider-Man 1, without this movie, you would not have had the boom of superhero movies that's come. Marvel Studios might not exist as it is today if it was not for this movie. This movie was the one that came out. It broke records. People were rushing to the theaters to see it. I mean, when you think about how much money this movie made on opening weekend at the time it came out, that is mind-boggling, especially that it was, after many considered that Batman and Robin would be the death of these superhero movies. So this movie had a lot going against it, and it got over that. And at its best, it actually stuck to Spider-Man. You know, we saw him as this guy who's down on his luck. And unfortunately, the movie did suffer a whole lot of problems. You know, it did rush through high school very fast and try to grow him up. It did have, you know, the stint of using the main villain, one of Spider-Man's best villains, who was, of course, Green Goblin, right in the beginning and killing him off. But they were going with familiarity. Familiarity. Jesus Christ. I'm not even going to edit that out. Screw it. Anyway, so I think, at its core, I think a lot of people go back and really hate this movie for the wrong reasons. You have to go back into the mindset of when the movie came out and watch it to appreciate it. Because this movie paved the way for everything we have now. And number one, to no surprise, what many, including myself, consider the greatest comic book movie ever made. This is my Spider-Man. I absolutely love this movie. I love everything about it. I love the villain. I love the story. I love the characters in it. I love the representation of everything. I love the emotional core in it. Everything, you know, in it is perfect to me. I was in high school when this movie came out, and I could not be more proud to be a superhero fan. I could not be more proud to be a Spider-Man fan. This movie changed my world, and it was at that point that I realized that I wanted to do film. When I saw Spider-Man, when I saw how much I connected to these characters, it was really the first time I discovered my love for Spider-Man at this huge grand level that I never thought I had. I mean, when the video game came out, my friend Matt and we went into school, checked in, and then skipped school just so we could go get the game and do everything. I spent the entire summer collecting those goddamn tokens and the buoy tokens and the skyscraper tokens for the game. I would literally watch the movie over and over. It really was one of the defining factors in my life and who I grew up to be. And when you really look at the movie, to what it did to superheroes, a lot of people said it couldn't top what the first movie did for box office. It blew that away. A lot of people thought, yeah, they can't recapture that same, you know, energy of the first movie. That was the one and done. Sam Raimi came back and gave us something memorable. When you look at a lot of movies today, they have 2, 3 villains because a single villain is not strong enough and not written well enough to be able to carry a movie. They had Doc Ock, and he steals the show. To many, including myself, Alfred Molina is the definitive Doc Ock. It's going to be like trying to recast, you know, Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, who each had their own performance. Unless it's vastly different, don't you dare do it. So there it is, guys. That is my top 5 Spider-Man movies. I hope you guys enjoyed my list. Remember, as always, this is my opinion, and I want you guys to let me know what yours is. If The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is your favorite one, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know why. Maybe you're seeing something different. Maybe it's your version of Spider-Man 2 for me, where it's the movie that really made you appreciate the character more. Sound off in the comments below. I can't wait to read them, guys, and thank you for watching. So thank you for watching the video, and if you guys like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, check out some of these other great videos we have on the channel. Just click the annotation right there, it'll take you to them. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a good one.